Meanwhile, Germany's drawn-out coalition talks could be on the brink of a breakthrough. The Social Democrats leader Martin Schulz has persuaded his party members to vote in favour of reforming the Grand Coalition with Chancellor Angela Merkel's party. However, the agreement could leave the anti-migrant party, Alternative for Germany, as the main opposition force in the country, as Peter Oliver explains.
Well, this was the result that Martin Schulz wanted. It was the result he campaigned for. But it was a visibly very worried Martin Schulz waiting for those results to come in. He gave a speech just before the ballots were cast. He said that there were only two options. It was either go into coalition with Angela Merkel's Conservative bloc, or there'd have to be another election. And he was very clear on which one he'd prefer.
Everyone should realise the question is coalition talks or new elections. And my take on this is very clear. I don't think new elections are the right way for us.
But what would a coalition do for the Bundestag? How would the Bundestag look if a new grand coalition can be formed? Well, what it would do is it would mean that the Social Democrats were no longer the largest opposition party. That would go to the new kids on the block, Alternative for Germany. They would be the largest opposition party. They would also get all of the perks and traditions that come along with that, including being the chair of the Bundestag Budget Committee. All new ground for the right-leaning anti-establishment party, a party, in fact, in which Martin Schulz and many other senior members of the Social Democrats had decried as racist before the election in September and said that they shouldn't be taking up seats within the Bundestag. Well, in an attempt to try and hang on to power for himself, he may well catapult them up into the position of being Germany's largest opposition.
Peter Oliver there. Well, geopolitical analyst Rainer Rothfuss did explain to us why the AfD has gained so much support.
I would say that the union parties, above all the CDU, has left the conservative positions of the past. They have turned somewhat, roughly speaking, into an SPD. And the SPD has lost much of its political standing because many of the topics were also covered by the CDU. So the AfD just came in to fill in the blank space that the CDU has left.
Well, one of the stumbling blocks during the coalition talks has been migration policy, with a number of new approaches being tried to ease the crisis. The eastern city of Cottbus has taken matters into its own hands and banned newcomers altogether. The move is in response to several recent incidents. Last week, for example, a teenager was stabbed by two Syrians, and several days before that, an elderly couple was attacked by a group of refugees. However, local neo-Nazis have also been blamed for violence at illegal rallies, and there are reports too that they have attacked migrants. We spoke to people in Cottbus.
They make it look like asylum seekers or whoever attacked the Germans, but there were also cases where it happened the other way around. For example, 3 Afghans were beaten up by a group of Germans on New Year's Eve. Over the next few days, though, nobody reported on it. Only later, thanks to the efforts of an activist group, it was made public.
It's not a solution to the problem. Not accepting any more migrants doesn't solve the problem we have here in Cottbus. In any case, people don't feel as safe as they used to. There is some insecurity here.
I think there is a need for action in the city. However, the way the authorities are dealing with this situation might be a little bit questionable. Probably they could have looked into this case more deeply to see whether there are other options.
Well, 3 other communities in the region of Lower Saxony have also banned migrants. My colleague Neil Harvey discussed this with Hugh Bronson. He's from the Alternative for Germany party.
There have only been a handful of attacks by migrants in Cottbus, as well as some on migrants themselves. Isn't a ban excessive?
Well, not to the victims of those violent attacks, it isn't. There were about 3,000 migrants who have entered Cottbus, and mostly they are young males from North Africa and Syria, bringing with them a completely different culture of conflict resolution. There's a breaking point for even the most tolerant of communities, and apparently this breaking point has been reached.
That's your opinion. Locals, though, certainly aren't all in support of this ban. Nobody's saying that any violence is acceptable, but some people suggesting, you know, that there may be more to this than meets the eye, maybe 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, and that perhaps more options should be explored. Is that not a good idea?
Well, I'm afraid there's little to no time left to explore other options. There's a big tension building up, and many communities and cities are simply fed up. The German Treasury has admitted that in the last year alone, more than 22 billion euros were needed to accommodate these 1.5 million migrants. And this is, of course, a large sum of money. Now, try to explain this to millions of Germans who are living on the breadline, having 2 jobs, and trying very desperately to make ends meet.
You're watching RT. Still to come for you. Thousands of people in the Netherlands have been protesting against the environmental impact of big corporations in the country. We'll have a look at that in detail just after the break.